Now this is going to be my review for episode 3 of Attack on Titan. Now sorry guys about the rating on the last video, I meant to say 4.3 instead of 4.8. Now for this episode, I gotta say I like the pacing, how it actually slowed down quite a bit. We actually got to learn more about a lot of characters. Now at the end of the last episode, they did show a big group of people that were all getting ready to start their training in the forces. Now before the training actually started in this episode, it started with the general or whatever he's called, actually giving them a bunch of lectures and asking them questions of who you are and why did you join. Now, after he asked a certain number of people, it got to a point where he slowed down, and someone asked on the side, why is he walking past these people? And the reason was actually quite simple, made a lot of sense. Now, when he walked past people like, let's just say, the main character, the main reason was just because he can tell by the looks in their faces that they've already seen enough. They are determined, and they have very good, solid reasons to join the forces. And the other people, I guess you could say they were more lighthearted and they weren't that determined, and they don't really have really good reasons, because some of them did it just for publicity, just for it to sound cool, like when people join certain teams, they do it just because it'll sound cool, and plus it'll look good on the resume or, record, or just, for the public in general. So I guess you could say he had to teach them a lesson and try to, harden them up a little bit, because as we all know, they're a little bit soft-hearted and everything, but at the point that, they're not really that strong-willed. So they need something that, at least, kind of push them a little bit, so then they'll learn to at least be able to, take themselves more seriously. Now, as things progressed, there was this one girl, I gotta say, this was a little bit crazy, but her name, I believe, was Sasha. She ended up actually eating a potato while he was giving this one kid a lecture, just because he saluted on the wrong arm, and on the wrong side of his chest. And she was eating potato, and everybody just stopped like, holy moly, just because she was eating potato while he was doing that. And in a lot of ways, no matter what religion or culture it is pretty disrespectful. It really is. And especially at a time like this. Now, she was a little bit on the weird side, just a little bit, but anyway, she had this weird look on her face, like she's seen death or something, like a really just scary look, and she seemed like she wasn't there all the way, like, even when he was really talking to her, I was thinking, maybe she's blind. Maybe that's why her eyes are a little bit more pale than other people color eyes, not just the seen death kind of effect look. And, she ended up seeing him perfectly fine and everything. Now, I was a little bit surprised, like, when he asked her the question of who you are and everything, she really got, like, clean, and she got, like, what's the word? She did everything perfectly at that point forth, instead of acting like a weird, nervous little girl eating potato and shaking a little bit or something. So the pacing or her attitude just completely changed very quickly. And, she offered him half the potato, and then, well, he ended up making her run a lot of laps for like 5 hours at least, which is pretty bad. And after she got done, she ended up, she ended up walking very slowly. She ended up having to crawl back home, and she ended up running into this one girl, and as soon as she smelt a potato, or not potato, but a piece of bread, she just leaped, like she got a random bolt of energy, just bam, just grabbed it from that person, and it was a little bit crazy, and her eyes got red at some point, or she started freaking out, and like, I don't know, that was really weird. She was like, her body was moving in such a weird way, almost it was like a creature, like she was about to evolve or something. But maybe she was just so happy to get some food after walking for so long. I mean, it makes you ask yourself, was that potato really worth it? But anyways, that changed completely, and then this girl walked up and started asking the other girl, why were you gonna bring this girl a potato? Were you doing it, for a good deed or something like that? And this girl, or woman, ended up saying something like, she ended up taking that girl back home, and she said one of the reasons was so then she could owe her a debt or something like that. And it might be just me exaggerating just a little bit, but her character and how she acted a little bit, and her tone of voice and her mood, and the fact that she said that made me think, well, she did have to say a few things that actually did sound positive and everything, and, saying that she'll be a good girl, based upon how weird she is, but, anyway, something about her reminded me of the main villain on Full Metal Alchemist, the one that is known to have the very long fingernails, I believe, that she would use to cut into people and crazy crap like that. She reminded her just a little bit, but that's me just going into it just a little bit too much. Now, as things started progressing, there was this one guy that the main character almost got into a fist fight with, and the only reason it stopped was because a bell rang, and I kid you not, I think that guy that I almost got in a fight with was the son of the guard that I was talking about in the last episode, because it's not just because they look similar and everything, but their attitude's the same. And, well, that might be just me, but it very likely will be true in the future, but we'll just have to wait to find out. Now, later, when it started, actually, they had a test, and they were supposed to, they had a belt wrapped around themselves, and they were being lifted up, and they were supposed to keep balance and be able to do it without falling forward. Now, the main character surprisingly failed, while the girl did a really great job. She was one of the best, or she was the best, and he ended up doing very terrible, but, you know, he really tried his best to do it as best he can. You know, him and his friends trained afterwards after everyone left and everything. And he started asking a lot of people, like, how do you do it? You know, give me some tips and everything. And he really asked for that. But, you know, towards the end of the night, you know, he asked these two guys. I can't remember their names, but, anyways, they start talking and everything. And, you know, they actually get to a point where they were, like, you know, asking each other's questions for their stories and everything. So you can see they were very engaging, and they actually got to know each other quite well. And they all had stories of their own, or at least most of them. And, you know, one of the guys, he actually saw a giant, and he's at least seen one, but he didn't, I guess you could say he didn't see things as bad as the main character did. And, you know, they actually got a good idea of how to know each other, and they were offering to do some, I think, some training, or they were just walking them back home. So as they were walking back home, or walking out somewhere, you know, they were starting to ask each other, like, you know, why again did you join? And that's when the main character had to answer, why. And one other thing I forgot to mention is that, these, you know, the two guys, you know, said that they don't understand. And he was referring to everyone else that's there for the publicity or for small minor reasons kind of thing. And, you know, saying that they don't understand how devastating and powerful the Titans really are. And that makes a lot of sense. And that makes me really think, wow, those guys might end up going very quickly. And I really hope not, but, you know, I would find it interesting if the main character, in a way, tried to influence them at some point, being say, hey, you need to stop being soft, and, you know, possibly explain and tell them their his story and everything of what happened, and trying to, you know, make them better, you know, like, let's prove the general, you know, how good we can be, and that kind of stuff. It might happen later. That'd be very cool. Now, anyways, when they were walking home or whatever, they asked their questions, and when the main character had to explain or tell his story, and say that, you know, the main reason he wanted to is so then he could kill them all, I was surprised to see that the blonde guy, I forgot his name, the blonde guy ended up having the surprise kind of look on his face, because he seemed to be a little bit of a hard guy, you know, like, you know, he'd be more of a guy that they more likely get in a fight with, or can get in a fight with. And, you know, when he was talking about, like, can you help me, you know, finish this task, you know, this, you know, test, you know, because I really need to get it done. And the blonde guy ended up telling him, I have faith in you, or I know you can. And that was really, really good. I'm pretty sure that the main character kind of needed that. Then the next day, that's how things ended up with him actually trying to do it, and he failed, but they found out the main reason was actually because his belt was actually broken. And he ended up doing it perfectly. Like, the first time before they changed out the belt, you know, he was doing pretty good, but then after, like, a certain number of seconds, and he just fell on his head. He really did. And, you know, they changed it out, and he did it perfectly fine. So, I don't know if the main guy, you know, got it, the general, whatever, ended up getting it changed just to help himself gain a little bit of confidence. You know, enough confidence to do better. Or if it truly did stop working. But, anyways, but I was surprised to see that the guy, you know, said, your son has truly became a soldier. And this somehow reminds me a little bit of Naruto, let's just say, you know, hearing the first Hokage, you know, saying, Naruto, or Minato, your son is becoming so great. And, you know, something like that, you'd probably hear from there. But I'm hearing that, you know, makes me really interested, like, how he knows his father, and if so, then later is he going to teach the main character something about his father, you know, about what he did, or, you know, tell him some things that he might need to know. You know, so I'm really wanting to see that very soon, hopefully, or at least get something more explained, like how they know each other. So I'm going to give this episode a 4.6 out of 5. I would say 4.5, but leaning towards more of 4.6 because there was a lot of things that happened. There's a lot of things that could each lead to different sides of the story, and the main character got to know a couple of people and got some friends, got a good idea of what group he's gonna be kind of hanging out with and everything, and got to know some people, and there were some very interesting things in this episode, really. And hearing other people's stories and everything, really getting a better idea how this world's going to be, and who he's going to, be training with and everything. So a lot really happened. It was a really great episode. They did a great job. So anyways, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching, and I still have more reviews for you guys. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.